Hello and welcome. I'm your host, author Ryan M. Oliver, and this is the Mighty Books Podcast. This week's featured author is Denise Steele. Denise Steele is a busy boss mom that is all about finding the right integration of family life and work life into her day. Denise is authentically herself and shares her stories in hopes of bringing people hope, encouragement, and inspiration. Recently, Denise has been recognized as a leader under 40 years old in her community and has a couple of published books under her belt. Denise is constantly improving herself by going back to school for her bachelor's, and she loves reading books on cultural anthropology, history, and business. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Mighty Books Podcast. Today with me, I have Denise Steele. Denise, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm fantastic. And I just want to tell everybody, I love her last name. I think it's just an awesome, I don't know, raw material and a last name. It's just cool. It's like oak or steel. I don't know. It's very strong. Anyway, that side note, we're here to talk about your book today. What is the title of your book?
So it's Unstoppable Volume 2, and it's a compilation book of 25 women sharing their inspiring stories on when they weren't stoppable.
Awesome. Now, so it's a volume 2, which means there had been volume 1. So how long ago was volume 1 released?
So Volume 1 was released last year, and it's still getting a lot of reads from what I've heard from the previous authors.
That's great. Now, what inspired you to now you compile the stories, or do you have them write in and you put it together, or do you write the stories? How does that work?
Yeah, so we have someone else that kind of manages the compilation itself, and so I just wrote my story and sent it in,
Oh,
and
very
we
cool.
kind of all pitch in to help with editing and everything like that.
Oh, awesome. So what inspired you to write this?
When I saw that she was working on another compilation book, I really had a story that I kind of wanted to share because I felt it could help people that were entering the situation that I was in or that are currently in it and kind of just give hope and just kind of brighten their future or give them something to work towards.
Oh, okay, awesome. So just you wanted to inspire others who might be going through a rough time and want to pull themselves up and make something of themselves.
Yes, yep, that's it.
Awesome. Now, do you have any other books out by chance?
Yes, I am just another compilation book that I was in because I mean to write my own book. I just haven't had the chance yet. So I'm in another compilation book. It's Jumpstart Your Blank because you fill in kind of whatever it was. And I think mine is officially the volume 3. I can't remember what volume it is, but in that one, that was Jumpstart Your Side Hustle. And I talk about growing your business while growing your family, like how to network with little ones and everything like that.
Yeah, you're a very busy person because right now you're an author, and then what else do you do for work?
So I'm on summer break. I work at a school as a math aide or substitute teacher. I also run 3 different other kind of businesses that I can work from home. And then I also am going to school to get my bachelor's, and I'm on the board for a local nonprofit. So I'm just everywhere.
You are busy. You are busy. You got 2 little ones?
Yeah.
Yeah, they keep you busy too, I'm sure.
Oh, they do.
They're probably the most demanding of all the bosses.
Yes, it's always fun when they're like, I need you. And I'm like, it's been 2 minutes. What do you need me for?
But they need you right now. This is what they do. This is what kids do.
I
Wow,
know.
that is awesome. That's great stuff. Now, what are your businesses? I'm just kind of curious. You said you have a few businesses. What are your businesses?
Yeah, so I help people bring fragrance into their home, their car, stuff like that. So eliminate the stink as we have puppies, we have kids, like it happens. You can do
Yeah.
your best, but it happens. So I do it that way. Another one is real estate investment properties. And then another one is like a little clothing boutique for kids.
Oh, okay. As you kind of dabbling in quite a bit of different things. Keeps you busy. Makes it's never boring, I bet, in your house.
Nope, always working on something.
Well, that's good. It keeps the mind sharp.
Yes.
Would you mind going a little bit of background into like what inspiration you were trying to instill in the stories that you wrote for the books?
The most recent one, the Unstoppable one, the main inspiration I wanted to do is that you are your biggest cheerleader. People can label you all you want and everything, but you ultimately decide if you're going to go with those labels or if you're going to do your own thing and stay on your own course and achieve your own desires. And then for the other book, my main theme was, hey, you can grow a business, you can have little kids, you don't have to just have little kids and you can't work on your business, or you don't have to just work on your business and you can't interact with your kids. There's a way to integrate it all. So there is kind of a not a balance because life happens, but you can integrate it successfully, and just some tips on how to do that.
Everyone needs those little tips, but it sounded like so I got you sent me a part of your book, and it sounded like it's a lot about kind of finding your identity, finding yourself. Because I mean, having kids and it being a parent, a lot of people can identify like I am mom or I am dad. That's all you are for a while. I mean, you're busy as heck with little ones, and that's just reality. But when as they get older and more independent, you can start finding yourself again a little bit. And anytime you see someone who's able to do as much as you are doing and who's passionate about what they do, it's always good things.
Yeah, you kind of decide what you want your identity to be, and it changes with life. And then sometimes you always got to kind of refine it, as I
Yeah.
found out a couple times during the past however many years.
Yeah, and it happens. That's like I said, that's just life. It's just how it goes. Now, did any books or stories inspire your writing or your life at all?
Not personally for this writing, it's more like I always like listening to people's stories because I find it very inspiring, especially when I find a way it can relate to me. And so I just kind of want to be that inspiration for someone. Of course, I love reading all the different books, but my main thing is like, okay, I've been inspired by podcasts, videos, everything like that. I want to kind of put it out there to inspire others.
Yeah, you want to put your 2 cents in on the world too.
Yes.
Yeah. And well, I think it's probably a good thing for your kids to see that too. It's mom went through some stuff and she learned how to grow and do great things. And yep, she might have failed a few times, but she got up and did it anyway, because that's what life's about, is learning and growing, right?
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
always.
Now, what do you think makes a good story? So how do you think your story will grab people?
There's a couple things I think that makes a good story. I think being able to have a sense of authenticity from it depends on the story and the genre, of course.
Right.
Nonfiction is the sense of authenticity, or fiction. Like I loved Memoirs of a Geisha because I'm like, that person had to have existed. Like there's too many details that felt too real. Like I'm going to Google search and find this person. Find out it's a made up story, no base at all. But
Yeah.
that's to me is a good fiction story, or one that you get wrapped in. And nonfiction is just someone's just being authentically themselves. They're like, hey, you can think what you want of me, but this is my story. This is how I lived it. This is how I got through it. If you can take anything from this, great. If not, that's okay. Thanks for reading.
Yeah.
But to me, that's it. And that's kind of what I want people to get from my story, is just maybe a new outlook on their current situation.
Yeah, kind of showing, kind of having a little different perspective on. I know a lot of people will sometimes, the woe is me thing, but then they start reading on what others have overcome. They've adapted to new circumstances or new challenges, and they've come up on top, or they've been, successful. Any way of getting inspiration from those around them. I mean, you really that's the best way to go about it, I think.
Yeah, and just letting like people to know that they're not alone,
Yeah.
and that there's people on the out of this. Like they're in the thick of it, but there's people that have gone through it, so there is an end in sight
Yeah,
and everything
exactly.
like that.
Exactly. Now, you said you wanted to write your own solo book. Is that in the works? Is it all just up here in your brain right now? Because I mean, authors, when writers never really stop thinking about producing another one. Do you have notes, or where are you at with that, future project?
Okay, so I'm always like, okay, where am I going to start? Am I going to start with kind of figuring out my chapters in my timeline, or am I going to start with just writing and then I try and organize it later, which I don't like that because it feels
No,
like more work.
it is.
But no, I thought about key areas like being a mompreneur, as I call it, a mom that's an entrepreneur. To me, I've like lived it a lot. I've navigated it with a lot of different life situations, like a husband that's gone at work a lot, going back to school, working full time, and going to school, doing night classes, everything like that. So I kind of wanted to work on a book that is all about being the process of just everything I've gained along the way from before having kids, being pregnant, to trying to navigate a newborn baby, a new business, and just twists and turns along the way, kind of like just full of self-care tips, business tips, integration of work and life tips, just kind of a mompreneur book, like how to
Yeah.
do it or how to adjust it for your life. And you don't have to feel like everything's always fighting for your time. And so I've had some chapter ideas. I haven't quite written it. If I do enough compilation books, eventually I'll have my book kind of combined in all of them. But I mean, yeah, I just need to get down and get to it. But I'm like, let me finish my bachelor's first, and then I can maybe touch base.
Yeah, one big hurdle at a time. School is a huge thing. I've got a coworker of mine who's trying to write his own book too. I've been working with him a little bit, and he's going through to get his bachelor's too, and he's having to go off and on. You know, it's book seat writing time, and then it's college essay writing time. So
Yeah, and I struggle because I mentally have a better flow when I handwrite, but I hate typing it into the computer afterwards. So I'm like, do I just deal with a bad flow and just type it? Or do I just like do very motivational music when it's time to type and just plunge through? So I don't, that's one of my things too.
you could always have, if you got a good friend or family member who's a decent typist, you can just handwrite everything. You just try to make it as neat as possible, I guess. I don't know how good your penmanship is, probably better than mine.
When the flow is
Um,
happening, it's not good. It's like sometimes I'm like, I don't know what I put. Like, what is that? Let me rethink what I was thinking at this point of time.
Yeah, but you could have someone, do the typing for you. You could just, I mean, that's if they're a good typist, probably wouldn't take them too long, especially if you do it in like little chunks. You know what I mean? That might help reduce some of that irritation because everyone has their thing they don't like to do. But
I
I
might have
do.
to recruit my mom for that.
There you go. Yeah, anybody. I would probably recruit my brother. The guy can write or type an incredible, very fast. It's absurd. I've gotten a lot better over the years. College helped. A lot of essays writing.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure you probably are pretty up there too if you need to. For your book, it would be really cool. Definitely start with those chapters, I think is your best because you have a theme and then you can go for it. Then you can write and develop all your stories and you can find like if you write 10 chapters and you notice that this one's got a huge amount of bulk, maybe you can make that into one big chapter or cut it up a little bit with stories. I don't know. There's a lot. You'll find out what you have in your inventory of stories and ideas. So
That's a good idea. I should just
yeah,
do that.
yeah, just start doing it and add to it. You don't have to do it in any order either. It can be as it comes, as it's inspired. So, and there are a serious amount of writing coaches, book publishing coaches. If you're ever interested, I'd love to help you out, get that going. But when you have time, when you have
It's one of
time,
those things you make time, like you figure it out and you make it. I don't even say
you
if you
do.
have time anymore. It's like if you want to make time, then take this on because that's what it is.
Yes, I stand corrected. That is absolutely true. When you make time for it, so when bachelors are done, then that's what fills the next, hole in your schedule. So then you make time for that. Absolutely. And that's really what it is about being an adult and time managing is like you have all these things you want to do because you have all these ideas and you can't tackle all of them at the same time. So taking one and then seeing it through to the end and then starting another one, that's what you have to, but it's so hard because of the excitement of the new, right?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
always.
always. And if you're like me, I've got all sorts of neat stories or ideas coming floating in my head and it's hard to stay focused. Now, does writing energize you or exhaust you?
I want to say energized. I
Okay.
might be exhausted though if I stay up really late writing, but I would say energized. And then I'm like, oh, I could say this too. And then I'm like, whoa, hold back, Denise. That's a little too much for this. Put in some paragraphs. This is way too long. So yeah, anyway.
Yeah, you know what? When you're going, like I said, you got a good flow. Forget about grammar. Honestly, literally just throw grammar out of there. I was in a class when I went through my apprenticeship, and it was funny. I'd gone through so many college courses prior for my degree, but I went to this. I was in this English class, the apprenticeship at the shipyard, and we were taking all these tests and learning all these grammar rules, and then our teacher hit us with this one, said basically grammar, punctuation, all of that can be foregone in the response to creative writing. So you can write creatively. You don't have to use grammar. You don't have to. I'm like, are you serious? So all these rules we're learning are for nothing. I could say it's creative writing and get an A. Cool. So
I
that
like
didn't
that.
that didn't fly with her, but yeah, you can do that. So that's what editors are for. Editors can help you make it, flow. Get all the stuff on paper. You can write garbage, and like that's what I do. I write garbage and then I refine it, and I have help from professionals who are good at what they do.
That's
So
why I like paper because when I'm typing on the computer, those red underlines, I'm like, they like bug me. They bug my OCD. I'm like, no, don't correct me right now. I'm
I,
flowing.
I like that. That makes a lot of sense. That I actually find myself backing up and fixing it as I go.
Yes, exactly. And then it messes your flow. I'm like, why did I do this?
It does.
Should just
So
on the paper.
yeah, no, I like that. I do a lot of notes on paper, a
Yeah.
lot of notes, and that way I don't the flow is there, and then I can refine it when I get there. Actually, when I was younger, did some poetry for school and some of my works, and I find that doing that is freeing on note paper because you can cross out and eliminate and make little
Draw
notes side note.
arrows.
Yeah, the arrows, because like, oh, that's a terrible word, oh, that's a better word. And I don't know what it is. It's just that freedom to explore and create. It's just there. Our computer is very formal, it feels like.
I think it makes it physical because it's the physical, the feeling of the paper or the pen or pencil on the paper. And when you have this ink on this pen, you're like, I don't like this pen. It doesn't flow nice. It's got the ink's not smooth or whatever. Or the pencil, like, this is too sharp. This is too dull. Anyway,
Are you a
yeah,
pen snob?
kind of just because, I mean, either way, you get stuff on your hand, whether it's lead or ink. But I kind of like the pen because then I can't accidentally like rub it off
There you
or
go.
anything. It's
Yeah.
more lasting. And it
Yes.
seems more like solid, like crosses off and it's like
Yeah.
legit versus erasing it nicely.
Yeah, and erasing sometimes it looks smears and looks like garbage anyway. So it's like,
Yeah.
yeah. But no, I asked about the pen snob things. My little sister's she has like her pen, she has to use the model, the ink. It's hilarious. I'm like, I didn't know that about her forever. I'm like, we didn't know you were a pen snob.
I do have particular pens I like, but then
Okay.
the kids take them
Oh
and then I
well,
try and find them. And
that's
then they're
kids.
usually dried up because they didn't close them up or put the lid on. And I'm like, shucks, I need to go to the store and get their free pens that have their branded stuff on them again.
That's funny. Yeah, that's kids for you. This is why we can't have nice things, kids. Because you take them. Oh, that's
They
too
become
funny.
yours. That's why.
What's that?
They become yours.
Yes, yes. Now, while you were writing, did you have any kind of quota or anything like that?
I
You
was
worked in?
limited to like 3,000 words.
Oh, okay. So you actually had a small amount to work with.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I did. I
Was
technically went over, I think, by like 7 words. I'm like, oh, the editor, I probably have like too many commas or an AA or something like that, and they'll take one out and then I'll be fine. Fingers crossed. So,
did you find it was hard or pretty easy to meet that within those parameters?
so I focused on getting everything I wanted to say down right away.
Okay.
But then I was like, oh no, I have all this extra words left. So then I kind of just like put in some kind of final touches then that were a little extra. And then as I was rereading it to correct it, I'm like, oh, I need to add this in and this in. And then I had to like take out some of that extra stuff because I made it. So yes and no. Yes
Okay.
and no.
Okay. Well, I think you approached it the right way. Is kind of fire hose it, see how much I got on here, and then wean it down to the most important parts of the story.
Yeah, and then we had a template that it was supposed to kind of flow with. Like you start off with like your beginning story, and then like the big turning point, and then how you succeeded. So I'm like, all right, I gotta add some more right here and stuff
Okay.
like that.
Okay. So it actually had that for you. So to follow, so it would flow well.
Technically, but I already had it written before she actually emailed that out. So I'm just like, well, we'll see. Hopefully it flows like it's supposed to.
Copy, paste. Let's see if that works.
Yeah, I did actually copy and paste. I'm like, actually, this should go up here so it flows a little nicer, like to that template.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's one thing I like about writing. I've said it before. If you make something and you come back to it after a little bit of time, and you're like, I can fix this, I can change this, I can add more, I can do less, I can, whatever. It's a kind of a nice thing. You can freely, improve upon it as your skills grow, or as you get more information, or you remember things. Because when you're pulling from life, you don't always have memories, not exactly always easily accessible. You have to kind of get inspired again to remember the things that happened.
Or if when you're typing and your fingers type slower and you reread something, you're like, what was I trying to say? The sentence makes no sense. What was my brain trying to tell me to say?
I've had those problems before, and the way I usually counter those is I just kind of vomit all over a notebook page, get all the ideas down, and then those are kind of like my placeholders. That makes sense. It's like, okay,
Yes, yeah, it
maybe a
does.
word or something, and that word will lead to a memory or to an idea, and then that idea gets expanded on, and then I go to my next word I wrote down. Okay, that's right, and it leads me
Yep.
into, you know what I'm talking about?
Yes, I do. Yep.
Yeah, kind of like a bookmark in your yeah, kind of like a little bookmark for your ideas instead. I hope you do when you make time. I hope you do
Yeah.
dive in on it, because I think a mamapreneur,
Yeah. Mompreneur.
mompreneur. Okay, I was totally butchering that.
That's
Uh,
okay.
I think you can absolutely, people will read that because moms want to do more than just, be mom. Being mom is awesome. Being a parent is great. But when the kids get older and you got to do something extra when they're, in school, or, you don't want to always just do a 9 to 5. Maybe there's a cool several businesses you could open.
I
So
will say my businesses are my hobby. Some people are like, what do you do for fun? I'm like, I work. They're like, no, you don't. I'm like, yeah, I do. I put on West Wing and I work. Like West Wing is my business, like TV show in the background. That's what I do.
it's a hobby and you're making money off of it.
Why not?
Why not? That's totally fun. I love doing this stuff. It's a hobby of mine, but it doesn't necessarily make a full smattering of money or anything like that. I'm not going to get rich
Yet.
off of it, but yeah,
Yet.
yet,
Put it in
but
the universe. Yet.
yes, in the universe, yet nothing, nothing is crazy, but it's still fun. And the networking opportunities are amazing. Actually, you mentioned you do quite a bit of networking.
Not so much the past couple months, but I usually attend the local chamber luncheons or social events and stuff like that. So
Mhm. That's good. That's good. That always helps a lot. And I always thought it was funny. You brought up you were a extreme introvert.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I am. I'm such an introvert. It's so bad. And I have an extrovert child, so it makes very uncomfortable situations for me.
So for introvert, I've always defined introverted as like how you gain your energy. Is that the same way for you? Is that how you defined it as?
I kind of view it as what makes you like, you can tell if you're an introvert by what makes you super, super uncomfortable and drains
Sure.
you. That's how I kind of view it.
Yeah, no, what drains you? Yeah, what steals your energy? Yes. Well, because you said you're an introvert. I technically am an introvert as well. Situational extrovert, I think, is what you quoted.
Yes.
And
Yep.
I'm absolutely a situational extrovert. I teach for a living. So, and you said you work in a school, so you
Yep.
have to be extroverted, especially around people. If you're giving presentations or if you're working with kids, they expect to show. It's really weird. But after a full day of teaching, I'm pretty shot.
Yes. I have two extrovertal situations. Again, the school, but that's because usually it's teaching or helping with math, which then gets my inner nerd going. So it's like I get energy off of that because it's an interest and a passion of mine. And then networking is because my businesses are like my hobbies and they're fun and it's what I like doing. So I get energy off of that. But once the networking event is over, I'm drained, I'm tired. I hide from the UPS person. Like if my daughter wants to go to the neighbor and say hi, I'm like, I wish your dad was here right now. can we maybe bring them something? Like, we don't just go over to say, hi, I don't like small talk. Like, okay, we can bring them eggs. Let's bring them eggs and say, hey, you might want some eggs. And then she can talk and I just kind of stay in the background. And yeah, but I don't like going out really. It's just super draining to go out.
Oh, funny.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, you got to do it every now and then, but yeah, I get it. There's different levels of introvert too. But the fact that you're an introvert and you're, going out networking and doing all the business stuff you're doing, I mean, that right there is a pretty great thing. You got to go outside your comfort zone, whether to grow and to learn. So it's the fact of life.
Yeah, I get known as, like, when I was pregnant with the youngest, I was known as the bubbly pregnant girl. And everyone's like, oh, you're the bubbly pregnant girl. I'm like, sure I am. Super bubbly and energetic and extroverted. Sure I am. And then, like, we'll do one-on-ones and they're like, what's something most people don't know? Oh, I'm an extrovert. Like, I hide from UPS.
Mhm.
And they're like, no. I'm like, yay, that's me. I will hide behind a wall until they are gone and cannot see me. If I'm outside, I will run behind a gate or something. Like, they will not see me.
That is so funny. Yeah, I mean, to each his own, right?
Yep.
His or her own. So, do you have any suggestions for budding writers looking to maybe get into a compilation anthology or maybe start writing for themselves?
I would kind of think about why you want to write. Like, are you wanting to write to inspire? Are you wanting to write just to tell your story? Are you wanting to write like book to tell like a fairy tale, like whatever it is? If you have a reason why you want to write, that can kind of help, because then that kind of like frameworks like, all right, I'm going to tell my life story, but I'm going to say it in a way that's going to be inspiring. So I'm going to make sure to really focus on the struggle and the things I used to overcome those struggles versus just spewing every little life history of me. So it kind of helps you frame where you want to go and then just write.
Mhm.
Or if you're like, man, I wish more people knew this about me, or I feel like this could help so many people, then write it. Like, just start somewhere.
Yeah. So, kind of have a direction so you can blaze a trail.
Yes.
Yeah. And then always don't forget your purpose. I think that is a huge point, because you start doing things like, why am I doing this? And it's like, then you can see it in the writing. It gets draining instead of exciting when you write something. So that's definitely a thing too. I wanted to ask you about this. I saw something about you were recognized as a leader under 40.
Yes.
Can you talk about that real fast?
So yeah, it's leadership Kitsap 20 under 40. I think it's 20 under 40. Oh, I'm having a mind blank right now. But anyway, it's everyone. I don't believe in nominating myself. So if someone is not, when it's nomination time, someone nominates you under 40 years old by the time the awards are given. It happens every year. And then they nominate you and they explain why. And then if you find out you're nominated, you then have to say, like, what have you done to give back to the community? How have you been a leader? Stuff like that. And it's a lot of the recipients are busy in the community with either volunteering time, or they're very innovative with creating stuff. Like, some people were recognized for ways they managed to shift serving the community during the pandemic and everything. Or it's just that these people just have touched a lot of lives and are super inspiring. A lot of nominations and a very select few. So it's like a big honor to get it and everything.
That's great. When did that happen?
I think 3 years ago now.
Oh, okay.
Sure, if the actual award ceremony was going to happen because the restrictions just lifted.
Ooh, okay.
So around that time frame, yeah.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I'm trying to think. 21? Is that around when 20
Right,
they're
a
pretty
lot of
locked
people
down.
were still wearing masks, and we were going on the brink of having more restrictions put back in place. So it was all like up in the air until like the actual event.
Yeah, that ebbed and flowed quite a while for a bit. That's great. So congratulations on receiving that. That's really awesome. What do you hope others will learn from your entries into those books?
Mostly that they are ultimately the one that decides how their life happens. Yeah, there's outside factors, but they can decide how they respond. and what they take from it, like how they view the situation or anything that comes their like. Are they going to view it as a negative? Are they going to turn around and use it as opportunity? And so just that what is said today might not be the truth forever. And you can change that, or you can improve it just better. If you're not happy with what they say the truth is, you can do something about it usually. So just look for that.
You can make your own future.
Yep.
Not enough work and drive, you can absolutely make your own future, and the one you want too. That's even better.
Yes, exactly.
You want. Now, where can people get a copy of this book coming up, and maybe your the predecessors?
They're both going to be on Amazon. The Jumpstart one is available on print on Amazon. The Unstoppable Volume 2, the Kindle version, is available on Amazon. And then the proceeds for that will go to UNICEF, because we all kind of are like, yeah, we like supporting them because of what they take anyway to do the Kindle version. Let's just give it out. But I have print versions that people can order through me.
Awesome. And where can they order through you?
They can go to my website and use my little contact box to request it.
Oh, cool. And then, hey, if they're interested in your other businesses, how can they, where do they go for that, for those?
Yeah, just same thing. They can either email me or they can use the contact box on my website, and then, yeah.
Okay, awesome. And I will put all that stuff in the details for people who want to find out what she does and maybe buy a book or, some other cool stuff. So
yeah, or just chat. I love chatting with other people, other businesses, brainstorming. Like, it's just fun when people make a breakthrough. So
I agree. I love the networking. You can never know too many people, because you can always help someone get to where they're looking to go.
exactly. Yep.
Yeah. Well, Denise, I really appreciate you taking time out of your extremely busy schedule to meet with me. We've been meaning to do this for a while, and I'm finally glad we were able to link up and chat. So thank you for coming on here today.
Well, thank you for having me.
My pleasure. All right, guys, I really hope you'd enjoy this. Go check her out. Check out all the cool books. Be on the lookout for future publications by Denise Steele. And like I said, go check out her wonderful businesses. And maybe is there an article for your award?
Yes, I believe it got published. I can't remember if it was like the Kids Up Sun or CK Reporter. It got published somewhere. It's also in the Kids Up Business Journal, which is an offset of one of those that I just listed.
Okay, so go read that as well. Okay,
Google it, and it should
Google it. Just Google her name and you'll find it. All right, guys. I hope you have a great rest of your day. And as always, stay mighty and keep reading. Are you an author? Do you know someone who is? If so, then message me, Ryan Oliver, at ryanmoliver.com to set up a free appointment to discuss being showcased on the Mighty Books podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to subscribe to the Mighty Books YouTube channel and share the link to this and more episodes with your friends and family. Thanks for listening. So long for now. Stay mighty and keep reading.